Hello, this is Hendrick Tallardar, and today I'm joined by OhTakashawa of thematani.com, and we'll be looking at the closed beta of Titanfall.
One of the great things that we have with every FPS these days is the ability to customize loadouts. In Titanfall, you can do that for your pilot and for your Titan. You can choose primary anti-Titan and sidearm weapon. One of the great things about the infantry combat is that regardless of the loadout, everybody has an anti-Titan weapon all the time. And so you're always able to do damage to other Titans. I kill more Titans as an infantryman moving around really fast, hard to find. It's really, really hard to find pilots to shoot when you're in the Titan. So that's a really great mechanic. But we'll have a look. Let's have a look now through the loadout screens and how all that stuff is set up. What some of the things that we've been able to see so far. Let us do.
Okay, so like OhTakashawa was saying, you have these very weapons. You have a carbine, a shotgun, a smart pistol, which is a homing pistol, compact SMG, and a sniper. That smart pistol is actually a real pain in the butt. And then you also have anti-Titan weapon, which is lock-on, heavy rocket, or the Sidewinder. The Sidewinder is more of a faster pace weapon.
The Sidewinder is basically a machine gun that fires mini rockets that do huge amounts of damage to Titans. It's really, really great up close. It does minimal splash damage, enough that you can kill yourself with it if you try to go point blank. But it's my preferred weapon just because the volume of fire is more continuous, and so it's better able to avoid the defensive shield that some of the Titans can throw up.
There's also the tactical ability. In the beta, you have the cloak, which is pretty much self-explanatory, and stim, which you'll see later in the video where I'm running around really fast. That just gives you a boost in speed.
Couple kinds of grenades, standard explosive, and then the arc grenade does messes up the HUD of anything that it hits and does substantial damage to mechanized units, which is one type of the minion and the Titans themselves.
So then there's also the tier kits. These are basically perks that you get on your either pilot or your Titan. Right now we're looking at the pilot perks. One of them is enhanced parkour, which basically just gives you better movement and better ability to jump higher. There's the explosives pack, which gives you more grenades to throw, and then the power cell.
There's a lot of great different tools in there that just let you customize and play the way you want. I use the parkour and stuff to defend my Titan when I bring it in. I've seen people using other stuff, just depending upon preference. I really like that customizability. It doesn't make anything really, really broken OP. It just gives you different ways to go about playing the game.
Your ability to play the game the way you want to is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think Respawn put a lot of effort in because nothing is really broken right now, at least in the beta. Arguably, you could say like stuff like the amped weapons are, which are in the card system, which we'll see in a bit. But stuff like the explosive pack, it just gives you extra grenades, and that's all you need. And I personally love having extra grenades because I love throwing arc grenades
and killing yourself with them.
Yeah, that too. And we'll see that in a bit.
And I spend much more time with my Titan, so I actually use kits that benefit my Titan. So like I use the one that improves drop down time, and I use the one and another one that improves my Titan. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now. And so it gives that sort of variety of he plays a game that's very infantry driven with his Titan kind of around getting other kills when it can. I play a game that's very Titan focused, and the game lets us do both of those things without it being broken one way or another, and I think that's remarkable. So let's have a look at Titan loadouts next. There's one chassis available, the Atlas, available in the beta. We're gonna just looking over. You see your primary weapon that you can pick for your Titan. Each Titan has one primary weapon, an ordnance item, an ordnance skill, a tactical ability, and the ability to punch other Titans in the face, which is just awesome.
Yeah, if you get into a fight with the other Titan and it gets them down to structure and to really low structure, if you hit your melee button, sometimes you'll punch in and grab the enemy player pilot and squeeze him, kill him, and then you'll throw him. There was an instance I had when I was playing with some friends where I did that and I threw the body, and the body bounced off my friend's Titan and fell onto the ground. And I thought that was just incredibly cool.
And I had one earlier today where I chucked a guy at a wall, and he smashed into a wall and then died. And just as my Titan blew up, as my Titan died, I ejected from my Titan. And as I was looking back down from my ejector seat, I watched my Titan go nuclear and kill another Titan that had killed me from behind.
All right, so now this is another interesting thing that Respawn did. It's the card system, and what it is it's additional perks and abilities that you get one time on that life. So if I use, say, my supercharger, if I died when I was using it, I wouldn't have that anymore and I would lose it. You have special things like replace ordnance weapons with infinite magnetic arc grenades like I have, or your Titan getting more XP per hits. There's stuff like special weapons like the amped shotgun, LMG, or sniper rifle, and these are just more powerful versions of the standard weapon themselves.
There's also stuff that lets you bring your Titan in faster, which is a lot of fun, and the burn cards are a really great way to, as we talked about earlier, just to add depth and variety to the way you build stuff out. One thing that I see that's common is a lot of guys using, there's like a augmented legs one that makes you run faster, coupled with stim to in hardpoint matches to move quickly to like the center most contested hardpoint and try to seize that early on to gain an early lead. But that's a build out that makes them weak in other ways because they're so focused on that they're not, as likely to be carrying abilities that make them more durable or more survivable. And I really, really like that variety.
Yeah, and like I said, the one thing that they have about those burn cards is if you die on that life, you lose that card, even if you haven't used it, which is really important for me, at least, when you take a look at how it just ends up playing. Because they basically are, you want to use this ability, but there's a risk involved. And I like that because you get punished if you're bad.
You get punished if you're bad, you get rewarded if you're good. And it's an aspect of the game that is not simply made irrelevant by more and more unlocks as you rank up. Even the worst player in Battlefield can eventually get everything unlocked. And the worst player here will be able to get everything unlocked too, but they won't be able to use burn cards, right? Because they're terrible. And so that'll be a really, really great differentiator.
So now that we have that out of the way, let's take a look at the actual game. Alright, so this is the start of the fight, and it's on a hardpoint map. Hardpoint is your basic domination map, or map control. There's 3 different points. They're static throughout the entire match.
It'll be akin to your Conquest and Battlefield, that sort of setup.
Yeah, it's very much like Conquest and Battlefield or domination in Call of Duty. I believe that was what the game mode was, which is, kind of telling that this was a game made by guys who made the original Call of Duty
It is,
games.
yeah, absolutely. It's the guys that left Infinity Ward after some frustration with the direction that Activision took it as a publisher, and they went over to EA. And so it'll be interesting to see how that relationship evolves over time, definitely.
Yeah, and so here you can see me running around. Oh, let me start it.
You're about to die here.
All right, so
this is the part where you
die.
die.
I actually died. Yeah, I die here.
Well, wait, you killed somebody. That's one of the great things that I really like about this. The melee is seamless, and it isn't sort of that big drawn-out animation that we see in something like Battlefield.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really enjoy. The thing I dislike about Battlefield is when you do the stab and take the tags, it takes a good couple seconds.
Yeah, it takes forever, and you're getting shot the whole time.
Yeah, whereas in this, you just hit the melee button once, and I think it kills a grunt or a specter, which are the 2 minion types, in 1 hit, and it takes 2 hits to destroy another player.
Yeah, it's...
and as you can see, I'm running around trying to climb things. The movement's really fluid.
I was just gonna say, one of the things that I really, really am loving about this, and I'm not sold on all of it yet, necessarily. There's some little foibles to it, but the fluidity of the movement and the verticality of this game are incredible. There's the points on this map are on 3 different levels. One's on the 2nd story, one's on a 3rd story, one's on what the equivalent of ground level is. And you end up using the rooftops. Everything you can see is accessible. There's no arbitrarily inaccessible rooftops. If you can see it, you can get on top of it, and that's really, really amazing. I mean, particularly, we'll wait for a bit when you go back outside. One of the things I love is the map design here. You can see that it's built in such a way that there's plenty of open space for Titans to move around, but there's also enough stuff going on in the buildings that there can be meaningful infantry combat and meaningful places for pilots to shield from Titans. You don't just get rolled as soon as there's Titans around. You can maneuver around and hide from them pretty easily.
Yeah, and at this point, there's a couple of their enemy Titans out. I had called down my Titan, which is still alive even though you die, and you can see its health in the bottom right corner. And the first ring is shield, and then the rest is armor, basically. And the shield tanking is pretty good because you can regen after a bit. And I keep killing myself with these grenades because I'm grenade happy.
So to clarify for folks, the reason his Titan is still out, when you're not in your Titan, it goes into Auto Titan mode, and it'll either follow you around or it will just stay in a position, and it will fight on its own. It'll shoot at the minions, it'll shoot at other players, and it'll shoot at other Titans. Although obviously not nearly as effectively as if the player were piloting it.
Yeah, and that's another thing is there was a lot of concern about the game with it being 6v6 only maps, 6 players versus 6 players only. But effectively, if you call down a Titan and just put it into auto Titan mode, into follow or guard, which are the 2 modes you just described, you essentially have 12 versus 12, just 6 AI versus 6 AI.
You certainly could,
and then all the minions running
You
around.
certainly could. One of the things that I found with the 6v6, and we have a limited selection. We only have 2 maps, I think. 2 maps in this beta. But one of the things I have found that I haven't struggled with so much in this game that I have in other games that have 4v4 and 6v6 stuff like that, is that there's never a lack of things going on, and I think that's really down to the minion system. I'd love to see a lot of iteration on the AI, but I think it's a really great way for them to balance. This game would be incredibly broken if it was 16v16 with these Titans running around. There would be so much firepower that it wouldn't be any fun. It would just be who's got more guys first, and I think that 6v6, it never feels like 6v6, if that makes sense at all.
No, it doesn't feel like it's 6v6. The minions add a nice layer of... They're easy AI kills to farm points off of, and to call your Titan down quicker, because any kill you get a minus symbol. Like on that pilot kill, I got a minus 30 seconds. That takes 30 seconds down on my cooldown timer for my Titan to be called in. Or they call it the production time, but I just call it the cooldown.
And that's really what it is. And I think that's one of the great mechanics. One of the things that has worried me, you look at this game and you see a lot of the Call of Duty influences, like you talked about with Domination earlier. I think one of the things that's really special about this game is that the things that are Call of Duty about it don't feel overtly Call of Duty about it, and they're balanced really well against stuff that's very new and very different. And I'm really liking the variety. I am not a fan of the Call of Duty franchise after Call of Duty 4, and this feels like everything I loved about Call of Duty 2, things like that, way back in the day.
Yeah, and as we were saying earlier, like we were talking about Call of Duty influences with the development, there's the whole other game modes. Attrition is basically your straight-up team deathmatch. It's based off a point system similar to, and this is actually a fun part of my AI Titan's fighting another pilot.
Yeah, you don't spend much time in your Titan, do you, buddy?
No, I actually don't. Because I prefer having the extra firepower following me around.
And I think that's one of the things that's really interesting about this, is that that's entirely a valid tactic. I am the opposite. I greatly prefer driving my Titan around and enjoying that. The Titans don't feel immobile. There's been a lot of comparison to games like the MechWarrior series and things like that, and to Hawken. This is a lot closer to Hawken than MechWarrior, but I think it's a good balance of the two. There's definitely some room for tanking and just brawling outrageous, which Hawken somewhat discourages, but there isn't the just maneuver until you're both pointing at each other and then beat on each other for 30 seconds until someone dies that you see in something like MechWarrior Online with assault level mechs in a game like that. I think there's a really, really good balance. The mechs feel nimble. You're about to kill yourself again.
That's the thing. So when you call your Titan down, you get a little dome over it, and it's a protective dome until that lasts for a couple of seconds, or until you get into the Titan and move out. The thing is if you shoot at or throw grenades at, it'll just bounce off. I didn't realize that until that moment, and I had been playing it for like 3 hours ahead of this, and I was like, wow, that was okay. I wasn't expecting that one.
Well, there you go.
So I was actually mentioning it earlier. There was the attrition mode, which is your team deathmatch, and then there's also the last Titan standing mode, which is basically 6v6, 4 rounds of just pure Titan on Titan fighting. If you lose your Titan, you lose your
You're out. There's no respawns either.
Yeah, and there's no respawns. So you get one shot to kill it, and there's 4 different ways, and you switch sides on the map, and it's actually a lot of fun. I'm actually more of a fan of Domination or Hardpoint, which is what we're playing right now, just because on average the matches last a lot longer.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Annihilation mode, I think is what they call it, or attrition mode rather, which is like your just straight team deathmatch. There's a ticket limit of 250, and because of the way that the minion kills and also the other things balance out, there's also a 10-minute, either 10 or 12-minute round time limit on it, which I've never seen a round hit the time limit or come even close in the bit that I've played.
I've never seen that happen.
I didn't notice the clock. The clock is just in the bottom left corner right above there. You see we've got 7 minutes left on this match. I've never run into a time issue, but with a 250 ticket, and you get I think it's something like 30 when you kill a guy, when you kill an enemy pilot or something like that. No, it's not that many, but
it's 6 points for enemy pilot, I believe, and 1 point for a minion.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe another 6 for a Titan. You get some for just killing a Titan, regardless of whether or not the pilot dies, if memory serves. But I could be wrong on that. This that we just saw here, to comment real quick, is a great example of the verticality of the map. This is the lowest level of the map that control point C is at, and you can come in from above, you can come in from both sides. It's really, really great, the maneuverability in this. They figured out a way to make 3-dimensional movement incredibly fun and incredibly smooth with simply, with a mouse and keyboard.
Pilot, you're approaching Charlie. Watch for hostiles. Hardpoint Charlie, checkpoint offline. All units, take Charlie.
Titans do feel natural to pilot. I have noticed that they tend to maneuver, like you were saying, more like Hawken mechs than your MechWarrior Online or the Titans from Battlefield 2142. However, I tend to believe that they're more designed to be more Call of Duty human-based movements than any other thing. So they're more their movements more based on a natural human movement, like you would in any FPS game, than just a giant lumbering Titan. There are little perks, like they have a 2-burst jet movement or sprint, which you see in the middle at the bottom right, which I just used. But that's about it. Like they're slower moving, but they have that same dexterity of a regular player would in any other FPS.
You're not going to run into a mechanics like the MechWarrior universe has, for example, where every mech has a torso rotation speed, and you're limited by in how fast you can turn around by an arbitrary, I mean, backed up in like the game lore, but from a player perspective of an arbitrary cap on that, you move as fast as you are comfortable with in these, and I think that's really, really fabulous. The suit, the gameplay changes tactically and strategically, but it doesn't change in terms of the need for a player to have the ability. It plays like an FPS with big robots, and it plays like an FPS when you're not in a big robot, and that's great.
That's just one of the things I'm really liking about the game. It basically sounds like we're singing praises, but it's a lot of fun given what we've been able to touch so far in the beta.
And of course, this is a beta that's fairly easy to get into, and it's a marketing tool for them as well. And so they're going to show us their best stuff, or some of their best stuff. This
part is actually my favorite part of any of the matches.
This is the biggest innovation in this game, I would say, in terms of just the style. Whenever there's a match over, you get an epilogue afterwards. And what happens in the epilogue is the losing team has to get to an extraction point, and the winning team has to stop them, and neither side gets any respawns. Nobody gets new Titans. You just, whatever you have, and brawl it out to the end. And it's a really, really fun way to end the match in sort of a cooling down period that's still fun, without... I have as much fun losing and trying to get to the dropship and defend the dropship and get away as I do winning in one of these matches.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the nice things that Respawn threw in, and I remember hearing that their whole point was they kind of realized after a match, when you just get thrown back to the lobby, it's kind of like, well, that was kind of worthless. That at least gave you some time to mess around.
I will take back something I said. Apparently, you can call it new Titans during cooldown if you're on the team that has won. I have been unable to do it on the losing team, but that could just be because I'm getting murderized. So thanks for watching our preview of Titanfall. It releases on Origin and Xbox One on March 11th, and we'll probably hope to see you and your mech in battle sometime soon. Have a good day.
Yep, and so for more news and updates on Titanfall and other video games, visit thematani.com.